Hey, boy, where you seen? You good? Pleasant morning. Welcome to this edition of Richard's Rant. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you're good today. And as you know, the morning is the best part of the day, and as such, that is the sentiment that I'm wishing to you, regardless of the time of day that you are tuning in. Because as you know, sometimes our days could be quite shitty. So, that special feeling in the morning as soon as you wake up before anything has gone wrong, before you have to pull out any contingency plans, go to plan B, plan C, plan E, or remember that you love your Jesus or whatever God you serve. That is the feeling that I'm wishing to you, as I usually do. Today in the newspaper was a little fluffy today, but I think in the newspaper's defense it was a Sunday paper. Because remember, I don't always read all of them in order. So I think it was a Sunday paper. Can't remember, but it was fluffy. Meaning it didn't really have much substance, just fluff. Yep, just like a puppy. Good to line dog kennel with, as a matter of fact. But here we go. These are the things that stood out to me and why. And thank you for tuning in. So, it has come to my attention. Well, in all fairness, it came to my attention a few years ago when I made friends with a person in the banking sector. Interestingly, although I worked in the banking sector, you would think that I would have made friends there. I kind of did. I guess they're on my Facebook. But this one is a friend. Even the traditional male friend where we don't talk all the time, but when we do talk, guess I actually have one of those. I don't like it because I find you should talk all the time, but this one I'm good with the distance. But anyway, we would have had many arguments over the way that they put things, that public relations slant on bad news and that kind of crap. And what it is he explained to me once, and I never ever forgot, is that once you're doing a financial report, you are supposed to put things in an optimistic way. So, in light of that, when I read COVID restrictions help curb retail sector inflation, I obviously remembered him. The reason why it curbed retail sector inflation is simply because people had no fucking money. And on top of that, it had a lockdown and places were closed. So it had no demand for the supply, so the price couldn't increase. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Stop pulling blanket, wool, fleece, wherever over people eye. If you want to put something on somebody's eye, put a cucumber, slice it, rest it so they could release the puffiness, put some tea bag, anything like that. If the person have an eye problem, put some eye drops, but stop playing the ass with people mental. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Not to mention, in the same blasted article, they went on to say that food inflation went up by 2.8%. I feel it went up by more than that, but then again, the Supermarket Association probably just put whatever they feel to put on the damn prices on them. But of course, we know it had shipping issues, farming issues, distribution issues. Even within locally, of course, it would have transportation issues, other logistics in the train from farm to table. But all of this would have been avoided if it is Trinidadians had liked to farm. But somewhere in our history, possibly a legacy from colonialism, we decided that farming was beneath us, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry want to get a stupid piece of paper, call a degree, and sit down in a fucking office. And now all of us, degree adjacent, associate, doctorate, sitting down next to each other, getting between $3,000 and $6,000 on the month cup. Because chunkalungs, honey push, the first rule of business, when there is a high supply, the price decreases. So if all of we have the piece of paper, well, all of you. When I see education was free, I jump out. I thought I was just gonna use my brain and get rich. It didn't work out. But at least it is I do have the The frustration of having attained the piece of paper and not get what I wanted. So, nevertheless, I really lost my train of thought there. Let me go back. Yep, sometimes you have to take a step back before you could go forward. That is what it is. Nobody perfect. So, so the lack of demand with the retail sector is what would have caused that pause on inflation. Meanwhile, in addition to the shipping issues and all of that, the demand for food and uncooked food through the supermarket would have increased demand without matching the supply and obviously cause inflation. So I don't know if it's 2.8%. I do not just calculate these things. All I know is that I watch my grocery bill steadily go from 300 and something dollars a week, and as with buying non-essentials as well, some kind of snack or the expensive version of this, or some maybe bell peppers, or we didn't want lettuce, we wanted kale, or some kind of crap like that. We don't want sweet pepper, we want bell peppers. Yeah, we don't want mushrooms in the tin, we want shiitake. So with that, it was around 3 something a week. Without that, went up to 4 something, 5 something, and well, pay only increased by 50 cents an hour. So I think it went up by more than that. But c'est la vie. Moving on from them and the nonsense about inflation and trying to put the economy in a good light, pull wool over people's eye. We had some nice patriotism, some nice as well. By now you would know, because even at the time of making this recording, it's not breaking news. So by now I believe you would know. But if you didn't know, the Bermuda's Cricks tin has been retired. For obvious reasons. One, we make nothing in Trinidad. Not a shirt, not a jockey shorts. We still making lettuce and pimento, but not all of it even local. Alright? You understand? Not all of it even local. So, once upon a time, when, the first ATM was coming into Trinidad, and it was called the Marianne, of course, in homage to a prostitute, All Day, All Night, Marianne, was a song sung by the great Lord Kitchener, if I'm not mistaken. He has a fantastic, and I would have said this in one of the original rants when I was talking about the cemetery and taking a stroll through the cemetery to get names for your unborn child. Yeah, in that one, he has a fantastical grave. But way back then, when, Eric Williams, this is not political, check yourself, when he had a plan for the country, and he was busy laying the foundation bricks, like the National Stadium, which never fucking complete up to today. It was supposed to have an aquatic part of it as well, never happened. When he was building Mount Hope, when he was building the Twin Towers, he said that Port of Spain will be a sophisticated city of art and expression. You would see the remnants of this there is a B-Mobile building near to Ryson Road that it doesn't look like they're going to break down anytime soon. And in the front of that building, there is a very thick, what looks to be concrete sculpture. I have no idea what it means. In addition to that, you would see the abstract sculpture, so to speak, image, that is by that street now, the one with all the cars and all of that. That is not Arapita Avenue, Tragreet Road, the one by Tragreet Road. And you would also see the fountain that there's been more off than on, that is on the foothill of the Hilton, that white fountain. So they started, but they never really finished. Anyway, so back in that era, we used to make cars in Neil and Massey. Or Neil and Massey used to thief part some cars. one anyway, let me digress into that, right? So once upon a time, Trinidad and Tobago had trains. For those of you who didn't know, that's where it used to run on where the bus route is. And then PNM came into power, and apparently it is alleged that they would have struck a deal with Neil and Massey. So my assumption, not fact, complete opinion, is that maybe Mr. Neil and Mr. Massey was the financiers for PNM endeavors. And as such, when it is PNM did come into power unopposed, they then had to give a favor. The favor was to discontinue the entire railway system and to replace it with maxi taxis and cars. And who was supplying the maxi taxis and cars? Neil and Massey. On top of that, cars used to come with things like airbags, seat belts, ever since Eveready, but with Mr. Neil and Mr. Massey, they were importing the cars, removing the parts, and if you wanted those things back into your car, including but not limited to the radio, you would have to pay extra for them to put it back in. Fantastic, right? So, when that shit started to happen, just before that shit was happening, and Trinidad Buzzy was a little bit honest, we used to make clothes, we used to make fans in Diego Martin, believe it was AML, we used to make blenders, small appliances, and we also used to make, we used to make love, but no, we used to make this thing, well, the Crixton, which lead to all of this. We used to make car parts as well, or car accessories as well. True, same Neil and Massey, as a matter of fact. So in that era, we used to make the Crixton right here. And the original Crixton was fashioned after an oil drum, you know, steel pan, national instrument, yada yada. And then it, you know, become a little sleeker and whatever have you. But it's still a staple in our culture. And it was being used, or it is primarily used culturally as part of the presentation of the Blue Devils that would descend from Paramin, Juve, Carnival, Borode, that kind of thing. So that was them in terms of Crixton being made here. Everything is made in China now, as you know, from coronavirus to hentai porn. Everything coming out of China. So the Crixton coming out of China, and with Corona, they cannot maintain the supply or the cost, so they discontinued it for the alternative packaging. Plus, this demand for a decline as people are not really on Crix that much, and I understand why they're not on Crix that much, because Crix damn expensive. Crix, corned beef, saltfish, pigtail, them used to be poor people food, but now you know that's like filet mignon. Fun fact, chicken also used to be a delicacy that was only served at special occasions. And then we learn how to mass produce the animal and to force feed it and plump it up and to double the time that it thinks it's awake by not letting it sleep and constantly force feeding it. And now, you know, KFC is just the biggest chicken slaughterer ever. If the chickens ever become as intelligent, quote unquote, by our standards, KFC would be, you know, their big slavery story, KFC Trinidad, and how they get emancipated. Humans just really do some kind of scary things, you know. Think about it. You ever eat egg with sausage? You realize what you're eating? You realize what you're eating when you eat egg with sausage? The unborn child of the chicken. And the chicken itself. And not even the chicken. Well, sausage is actually made from the male chicken. As soon as they're born, if they see a toti, they throw it in the food processor. Beak and everything. You know, it's like that's it. Party done. And now it's a hot dog. So we just do some horrible things. And if anybody ever asks about frogwa, I believe, stand to be corrected on the pronunciation, that's when you force feed a duck to the point where its liver fails. And that's how the liver has become a buttery, tasty delicacy for us to eat. We are a disgusting species, we really are. But coming all the way back, reverse it from that digression. Cricks retired it in, and I was pleased to see that it made newspapers, and not in a way like how B Mobile has been a newspaper, basically free advertising. Or they reintroduce credit cards over the phone. What they mean to say is they fixed the blasted system that was broken for more than 5 years. But this was a genuine article, and I received it well. And the marketing manager of Crick said that although it is retired, it is possible for it to come out of retirement from time to time, and they are taking into consideration things like the cultural aspect of the Crickster. So that was a I appreciated that story. It made me feel good and whatnot, especially since Bermuda's is locally grown and all of that, just like Kiss, just like SM Jalil and Company. You know, all these locally grown things, and not necessarily just glorified companies that are middlemen like Vemco and AS Brightons. You know, homegrown stuff like Carib and Angostura, Tree Plumes matches, Whitco, those kind of things. And we need stories like this. We need to remember that we could do stuff here, and we've been doing stuff here. The next article in the paper was from DOMA and the various micro business associations. So not the big one like AmCham, but like the Downtown Owners Association, the St. James Association, Pravity and She Friend, and those the Shaguanas Association, like those. And what they were saying is that while it is they know that the government has to do something about, well, basically they're saying everything I've been saying. Although the government has to do something, shutting down businesses is not the answer, and it would create a different issue later on. Especially since, according to them, most businesses have invested in their online situation and they offer delivery services now, and they should be allowed to continue. And that I wholeheartedly agree with. I don't think that it should stop business activity. You should really allow it to evolve. And even after the virus, things like this would be fantastic. By having a delivery, you are reducing traffic on the road with people going to see where you have and to shop around and all of that. You're reducing pollution, which is something that we are having an issue with as well. And you're reducing the cost. You don't have to pay the rent, you don't have to pay the as much employees as well, or whatever rent you do have to pay, it is do have to be with all the aesthetics and the showroom type of thing. And it's not necessarily going to create an issue in terms of tradesmen finding work and all of that, because that sector is currently in need of persons. So it's not even really going to have a noteworthy amount of collateral damage that I can see from my pedestrian perspective. And as such, I agree with them. I do agree with them. What I don't agree with, though, is the chairman of the Penal DB Regional Corporation getting in the papers and expressing that when it is at flood in DB, they wouldn't be able to assist the constituents because the local government and give them no money. You didn't know that the local government was having issues for a while now? You didn't know that? And the money that they gave you, well, exactly why it is, why is it that we develop this handout and hand to mouth mentality? Where did that cometh from, and how could we kill it? If it is that you're going to get $100,000 when the months come or the year come or wherever have you, and then next year you will need another 100,000 or 100,000 plus because of inflation, and the next year, why are you content to just be dependent on this one source of income? When it is you have doctor before your name, when you have businesses, when it is fully well that you could engage in multiple income sources, why it is the regional corporation didn't reinvest the money that they get from the government? Why it is they don't offer any products and services that they can make money from? Why they're not even throwing blasted events, going around to the different panyards and cultural places in the community and simply throwing an event? Why they're not selling corn soup or sauce or doubles or sewing or some kind of damn thing? Why? You didn't know you was going to have an economic shortfall? It's to really troll you in the dustbin like what you're doing in South America. As soon as you come out of Parliament, you're just wasting people blasted time. And if it is you really a man of the people and you care about the people and all this kind of thing, take a blasted salary and pay for it. The diesel only costing 34,000. That is less than Rowley pay for a month. So between you and he and the council, or they could chip up and pay and save the people and them from the floodwaters. I fed up all you. I fed up. You in the blasted papers with no kind of shame or discipline about yourself or pride in yourself as a leader to say shit about how it is the corporation can't afford to pay the internet bill. Kiss my ass brick. Some of the statistics now that the papers throw out, because they just put these things without really putting much context. Apparently, for every 1,000 children born, 22 of them just die. I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. But if it is my math is serving me correct, that should be like a 1 in 20 chance of survival. Let's do the math together, shall we? I'm not going to do 22. Not with my time. I'm going to do 20. Out of 1,000, you cancel your zeros. 1 in 50, not 20. A 1 in 50 chance of dying. Look at that. Didn't know that. And on top of that, so for every 50 children born, one is dead. Only 49 just live. And they were saying, they was talking about how midwives could do more. Everybody always pointing the blasted finger. The time you take to write the article, you could have probably do more. But what also stood out is that apparently people just eat milk of magnesia to make sure the children get lighter skin. I didn't know that was a thing. And she was like, people need to stop doing these things. But I find that you need to put the evidence that it do work. Because people who doing it think it work. Maybe the child come out light. You fast and out of place. Is it that is the milk and magnesia killing the one child in 50? Otherwise, hush your mouth. What trouble is this? And how okra wouldn't make the vaginal delivery easier. How you know that, okra slimy? How you know that? Hey, trouble is this? Then we moved on, saw another article where the state had to pay another person money again, $70,000 this time because they hold him in jail for 3 days. I started to think I want the police hold me, and use that as a blasted investment at this point. 70,000 of taxpayers' dollars. And the case wasn't even tried because the state defended themselves, stating how it is they had a right to hold him. They received credible information from some source or the other. The only source I'm interested in is doubles and when I'm coming back on the road, yes. But how they get some source or the other, and the man was a suspect and they only hold him for the 3 days as the law permits. The man said, what evidence? I wasn't involved in anything. Sorry, I wasn't involved in nothing. And as such, I taken all to court. And the state was so sure that they did the right thing, they settled the case to the tune of $70,000. This is the same state at the point of this recording talking shit about how police have the right to invade your home without a warrant if they think that you're breaching the Public Health Act. Yeah? Unless it is that have visual evidence of more than 5 people in your house that do not live there, there is a bunch of lawsuits waiting to happen all over again. But apparently, although we're billions of dollars in debt at the time of this recording, we have money because they're buying more boats to play the ass on the water with the porosity of the borders. So apparently, somehow we're getting more boats. Why, I don't know. What I think we should do is one of 3 things, or maybe 2, because I'm thinking it as I am saying it, really. Set up your stations, put a police post, a proper police station, right which part they come in. The Carcass, wherever. Put a police station there. Let the police walk up and down the beach when they come. As a matter of fact, send all your overweight police officers that look like they go dead. You send them there, let them walk up and down, let them dip in the soil, let them patrol the borders. That's option 1. Option 2, for the people that do make it in, they have to give slave labor to the state. We need some reforestation or forest rehabilitation. We need some things clean. It's the rainy season, right? So if you come in Trinidad, know that you have 6 months of slave labor. That is a deterrent right there. Option 3, you employ them with the state and you don't make it slave labor, you pay them something. That is all. Problem solved. Many problems solved. And that is literally off the top of my head. What the fuck all you just really be doing with all this money that we just be giving all you? Anyway, then this jackass, 28 years old, and he facing a case because he thief from Hilton. How he thief from Hilton? $90,000 in alcohol. Alright, so I waiting to hear that he open a bar or he sell it or something. The article, as usual, was lacking. But the way that he thief it is that he was entrusted with inventory and ordering alcohol. Jackass ordered $90,000 worth of alcohol during the lockdown and then never deliver it. He gone and he pick it up. He signed for it and never bring it to Hilltop. You see what has happened when you grow up in the back of the school? And then on top of that, he was a trusted employee to have the inventory taken. These are the people that has get promoted. These are the people in government. You don't even know how to thief properly. It make any blasted sense for you to thief $90,000 worth of alcohol? And what it is you have to show for it? $90,000 worth of alcohol that you get for free should tell me, and you buy it from a wholesaler, should tell me that you're supposed to have about $100 and something thousand in capital now. Did you get some apartments? Did you put some cars on the road? What assets did you buy? And of course, he had to look like me. He had to look like me. I don't know why it is that this can be white, just for a change. Just a pleasant change. Right, so that is it for today. That is the nonsense that was in the newspaper. I thank you sincerely for tuning in during this COVID. Whether you are pro-lockdown or anti-lockdown, please take the precautions. Please be safe. Of course, you know I'm anti-lockdown. And try to bear some statistical evidence in mind and wrap your brain around just to gain some perspective. If you have used birth control, you have a higher chance of birth control failing than you have of dying from COVID. COVID kills less than 1% of the people that are infected. Birth control fails between 1 and 5% depending on the method that you use. If I am wrong, comment towards our betterment and subscribe to the Vibe. Vibes.